Okay, so your homework was page 269, 30 to 56, even, and I'm going to do 29 to 55 odd. So here we go. Alright, so we have x to the 7th to the negative 9 power. So remember, if you take a power to a power, you're going to multiply the exponents. So this becomes x to the negative 63. So we're going to have to drop it like it's hot, becoming 1 over x to the 63. Okay, if you have a fraction to an exponent, you just give that exponent to the numerator and to the denominator. So 7 cubed is 343, and 8 cubed is 512. And that cannot be reduced, so that's your answer. Okay? So here we have 4x squared squared. So you need to make sure that you give the squared to all the pieces. So 4 is being squared and x squared is being squared. So you need to say 4 squared and then x squared is squared. So 4 squared is 16, and then x squared squared is you take 2 times 2, so you get x to the 4th. So that is 16x to the 4th. And then here you have negative 2 to the negative 2 power y cubed. So first let's take care of what's inside the parentheses. So what is being raised to the negative 2 power? Just the 2. So we're going to drop the 2 like it's hot. So that means in the numerator I'm left with negative y over 2 squared all cubed. And then 2 squared is obviously 4. So I have negative y over 4 all cubed. So this becomes negative 1 cubed y cubed all over 4 cubed. So negative 1 cubed is still just negative 1. Y cubed is still just y cubed. So you end up with negative y cubed over 4 cubed, which is, I'm not sure, 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 times 4 is, that's what I thought, 64. So you end up with negative y cubed over 64. Okay? Okay, so we have 4 to the negative 4 power over y cubed x all to the negative 2 power. So you can do this a couple ways. You can deal with inside the parentheses and then take everything to the negative 2 power. Either way, you're going to end up dropping some things like it's hot, so it's up to you. Let's go ahead and drop this like it's hot now. So then you end up with 1 over 4 to the 4th power x y cubed all to the negative 2 power. So then you end up with 1 to the negative 2 power over 4 to the 4th power to the negative 2 power, x to the negative 2 power, y cubed to the negative 2 power. Okay? So then we have 1 to the negative 2 power over, if you take a power to a power, it becomes 4 to the negative 8 power, x to the negative 2 power, y to the negative 6 power. Okay? So this gets dropped like it's hot, and then this, and this are all going to get raised to the top. So then we end up with 4 to the 8th power, x squared, y to the 6th, all over 1 squared in our denominator. And 1 squared is just 1, so we're not even going to write that in our denominator. So our answer is just going to be 4 to the 8th, because we're not even going to try to put that in a calculator, x squared y to the 6th. And it would be over 1, because 1 squared is just 1, but we don't write that. Okay, so like I said before, if you're taking a fraction to an exponent, that exponent just goes to both the numerator and denominator. So you have 1 to the negative 3 power over 4 to the negative 3 power. So negative exponent in the numerator, drop it like it's hot. Negative exponent denominator, raise it to the top. So it becomes 1 cubed in the denominator and 4 cubed in the numerator. 4 cubed is 64, and 1 cubed is 1, so your answer is just 64. Okay, here we have 3x to the 5th over 6x to the 4th. I'm going to deal with 3 over 6 first, giving me 1 half, and then x to the 5th over x to the 4th gives me just x in the numerator, because if you do the quotient rule, like bases, subtract the exponents. 5 minus 4 is just 1. So you end up with x over 2, and this is all still being raised to the 4th power. So you have x to the 4th power over 2 to the 4th power, because remember you have to give this power to the numerator and denominator, which ends up being x to the 4th over 2 to the 4th power is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So it's x to the 4th over 16. Okay? So here, now be really careful. I've seen my students kind of flub this up a little bit in the past. Only the numerator is in the parentheses. So only the numerator is being raised to the negative 4 power. Okay? So you're having a power raised to a power. So this ends up being y to the negative 12th in the numerator, and the denominator hasn't changed yet. So this is a quotient rule, because it's the same base. So it's y to the negative 12th minus 3, because quotient rule says, like bases, you subtract the exponents. So negative 12 minus 3 is y to the negative 15th. And because it's negative exponent, you drop it like it's hot. So it becomes 1 over y to the 15th. Okay. Okay. So now, because we have so many negative exponents, I think our best bet here would be to go ahead and multiply the negative 3 to everything first. But make sure you also give it to the 2. So we're going to say 2 to the negative 3. X to the negative 3 to the negative 3, y to the negative 1 to the negative 3. So we have 2 to the negative 3. Power to a power, you multiply. So it's x to the positive 9, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and y to a positive 3. Now see why I wanted to go ahead and do that, because this became a positive and this became a positive. And then we're just going to drop this one like it's hot. Positive exponent or negative exponent in the numerator, drop it like it's hot. So this becomes x to the 9th over 2 cubed y cubed, and then we know 2 cubed is 8. So it's x to the 9th over 8 y cubed. Okay, 47. All right, this looks fun. All right, let's drop things like it's hot. So this and this are going to drop like it's hot. And then this, this, and this are going to raise to the top, right? So let's rewrite. So in our numerator, we're going to have 4 squared, a to the 7th, b to the 3rd. These are the ones that we just raised to the top. And then we already had a b to the 6th up here, right? And then in the denominator, we're going to have 3 squared and a to the 5th. Okay? I meant to write those in red. I messed that up, didn't I? Okay, so now we know that 4 squared is 16, and we have a to the 7th, and because we have two b's up here, if we're multiplying like bases, we add the exponents. So that's going to become b to the 9th. All over, we know 3 squared is 9, and then we have a to the 5th. Because we have an a in our numerator and denominator, we're going to use the quotient rule. And we can also reduce our coefficients if necessary. So 16 and 9, do they have anything in common? They actually don't, so there's nothing that we can reduce that to anyway. So we're going to leave 16 and 9 alone. So we've got 16 over 9. And we're going to leave a squared because, like bases, you subtract 7 minus 5, a squared, in our numerator, and then we're going to leave b to the 9th in our numerator. And that is going to be our solution. Okay. Alright, this is going to be fun. So, all of this is being raised to the negative 2 power. So we might as well go ahead and drop it like it's hot now. So we can go ahead and leave 6x to the 4th, y cubed in the numerator, and then put all of this 4x to the 6th, y to the 5th, in parentheses, squared down in the numerator, or down in the denominator. But now we need to make sure that everything down here gets squared. So let's leave our numerator the same. Let's give our 4 a squared. Let's give our x to the 6th a squared. And let's give our y to the 5th a squared. So again, let's leave our numerator the same. 4 squared is 16. If you take a power to a power, we've got x, you multiply, so that gives us x to the 12th. And then again, power to a power, that gives us y to the 10th. Okay, let's reduce this. 6 over 16, they can both be reduced by 2. So that gives us 3 over 8. So we have 3 over 8. And then we have our quotient rule. You've got x to the 4th and x to the 12th. So you can do it this way. You can say x, if you do 4 minus 12, you get negative 8. Or you can just say, you know that there's more x's in the denominator. So how many more x's? 8 more x's. And then same thing here. You know there's more y's in the denominator. How many more y's? 7. And that is your answer. Okay, so same thing here. This entire thing is being raised to the negative 6th power. So let's go ahead and leave x to the 6th in my numerator, and then put x to the 6th, b, c, all raised to the 6th power in the denominator. We just dropped all of this like it was hot. Okay? But now I just need to make sure that everything down here gets raised to the 6th power. So I've got x to the 6th over x to the 6th to the 6th. And then I've got b to the 6th. And then I've got c to the 6th. If you take a power to a power, you multiply the exponents. So I have x to the 6th over x to the 36th, b to the 6th, c to the 6th. Now if you look at these, how many more x's do I have in the denominator? I have 30. So I have x to the 30, b to the 6th, c to the 6th. But you can't just leave nothing up here in the numerator. So what goes up here? A 1. Okay, so don't ever just leave nothing up there. A 1 goes up there. And then you're done. Okay, alright. Let's go ahead and start moving things around. Let's go ahead and drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Negative exponent in the numerator, drop it like it's hot. negative exponent in the denominator, raise it to the top. Okay? So in my numerator, I'm going to leave my x squared. That was already there. I'm going to bring my 5 squared up there, right? I'm going to bring my y to the first power up there. That takes care of that. And then in my denominator, I'm going to leave my x to the 7th. That was already there. I'm going to bring my 2 cubed down there. And then I'm going to bring my y to the 5th down there. Okay, so let's see what we got going on. 5 squared is 25. Let's put our coefficient out front. X squared y. And then 2 cubed is 8. X to the 7th, y to the 5th. Okay, so let's see what we got going on. 25 and 8, we can't do anything to reduce that. So I've got 25 over 8. And then I've got more x's in my denominator. How many more? 5. And I've got more y's in my denominator. How many more? 4. And that's it. Alright, last one. Oh, this looks like fun. Alright, here we go. Let's just go at it. Here we go. Let's go ahead and give this power of 3 to each piece. So we have 2 cubed times x squared cubed over y to the 4th cubed. That's all being multiplied by 2 to the negative 2, x to the 5th to the negative 2, over y to the negative 2. Okay? So 2 cubed is 8. Power to a power, you multiply, right? So x to the 6th over power to a power, you multiply, y to the 12th. Okay? Times, let's go over here. Can't really do anything. Well, we're going to end up dropping it like it's hot with that one, but let's just leave it alone for right now. Power to a power, you multiply. So x to the negative 10th all over y to the negative 2. So let's go ahead and move all those around, and so we're not dealing with negative exponents before we multiply our fractions together. So these both need to be dropped like it's hot. Negative exponent in the numerator, drop it like it's hot. Negative exponent in the denominator, raise it to the top. So let's go ahead and leave our 8, Let's go ahead and leave our 8x to the 6th, y to the 12th alone. And then let's come over here. So we're going to leave y squared. It's going to come to the numerator. And then 2 squared is going to go to the denominator, and x to the 10th is going to go to the denominator. Okay, so let's rewrite. 8x to the 6th, y to the 12th, times y squared over 2 squared is 4, x to the 10th. Now let's multiply. When you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. So we have 8x to the 6th, y squared over 4 x to the 10th y 12. I just wrote them in numerical or in alphabetical order. So now you have 8 over 4, which we know is 2. So we have 2 over 1 so far. And then we have 6 x's up here and 10 x's down here. So you have x to the 4th in our denominator. And then we have 2 y's up here and 12 y's down here. So we end up with y to the 10th in our denominator. So our answer is 2 over x to the 4th, y to the 10th. And that's our answer. And that's it. You guys have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow.